Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Dear Dance. I am so excited that we have a interview today live. This is a really exciting thing for me because I don't know this amazing person except for we've just been chatting before the show. I actually got introduced to her through her mom who called the dance studio that I work at, and like the dance world is so amazing and so small, and people who love dance just like connect. So I'm really excited to talk with her. This is Alexis. She grew up dancing, gorgeous mover. I can't wait to show you this clip. It's so stunning. And she's actually a professional chef and wrote a cookbook inspired by the Nutcracker, which is so cool, combining those two passions. And I'm really excited. I need to get this cookbook for my mom. Mom, if you're watching, I didn't say that. That's a gift for you for Hanukkah and or Christmas. We'll see which one, because I'm lucky I celebrate both. So before I get sidetracked, let me show you this amazing video, and then we're going to bring her on. So gorgeous. I love how she just like moves with her whole body. Like you can see those lines like extending past her fingers. That arabesque, it was just like so graceful and beautiful. I'm so excited to talk to her. I have so many questions, especially because I don't know her personally, so this is very exciting for me. So I have even more questions than normal. So let's bring her on in with a big round of applause.
Hello.
Hello. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I'm super excited.
Of course. Okay, so in keeping with the theme, we are doing a Nutcracker related craft today. It might not look like a Nutcracker, but theoretically, this is a craft that kids should be able to do. So I hope we can do it.
Yes, I hope so too.
We are going to attempt to turn these toilet paper roll into an actual little nutcracker. Obviously, it won't be able to crack nuts, but maybe if it like you put enough paint or glue on it, it'll be hard enough and you can like smack.
That's true.
But or maybe like there's like a soft nut. I don't know. Yeah. We'll see. I'm attempting paint, and you're gonna do markers.
Yes.
I honestly think the markers are gonna be the better choice here, especially because I don't have any water to wash my brush in between colors. So that could be interesting. But I'm thinking like, so the Nutcracker has like, you know, like his hat. So I feel like we need to make like the top quarter, like the black hat.
Okay.
I feel like then we have like some face, can add some eyes, and then like body. I feel like he has like a red coat from like
typically red.
That seems right. Like, and then like the little like buttons, like the horizontal buttons. I feel like that's like pretty classic. So
yeah,
that's what I'm gonna try to do. If we're capable of multitasking and crafting, I would love to know a little bit about your relationship with dance, how you started dancing, where you grew up. Just tell me everything, because obviously you have a lot of technical training. I love that video. It was gorgeous.
Thank you.
So I'm going to stop blabbing, and I'd love to hear a little bit about your background with dance.
Yeah, so I grew up in northern New Jersey, and I was dancing at the Irene Fokine School of Ballet in Ridgewood with my two sisters. I have an older and a younger sister, and so we pretty much spent our whole life after school on the weekends and the summers dancing there. And we pretty much trained in classical ballet, but we did some character dancing as well. Eventually branched out and learned some tap and jazz at some other studios too, and moved up and did point work as well. And then, yeah, that's pretty much where my whole love for dance came. My mom liked to dance as well when she grew up, and so she instilled that passion in all of us. And I've kept it going ever since, which has been really fulfilling in my life.
Yeah, I love that. I love especially when it's like a family affair. I'm an
Yeah,
only child, but my mom is a dancer and a dance teacher, so it's
nice.
just like something there's something so special about being able to just have that shared language. Like you already have a shared
Hmm.
language as a family and then to bring in that physical and like similar
Yes.
love for this art, I think that's so
Yeah, a
awesome.
totally different bond that kind of just it's innate
Goodness.
within us, but then like bringing it
I
out in
already
that way
messed
is
up
so nice.
and poured paint
Oh
all
no.
over my hand.
I have not gotten
Oh
very
my
far
goodness.
yet.
Okay, so what has your relationship been like since? So, my actual first question is after high school and, currently, are you still able to take class with your professional being a chef life? What is that how has that relationship changed with dance as you've gotten older?
Yeah, so I was fortunate enough to attend a college where dance was a huge part of
Oh,
the
I can't
social
hear
life.
you.
Oh no.
Let me see. Something might have happened on my end.
Can
Say
you hear me
something
now?
again. I
How about
can't
now?
hear you. I don't know why this has been happening
Oh
the
no.
last few episodes. If you're in the audience and you're watching live and you can hear, please let us know if you can hear Alexis. But if not, then you might need to log out and then sign back in.
Okay, I can try
Yeah, because I
that.
can see the bar moving. Maybe it's me. Maybe it's my headphones. Let's see. It says I'm connected. Very strange. Maybe try
I
logging out and then
Okay,
coming back in.
sounds good. I will be right back.
Sorry, everyone. I'll keep painting for you and hopefully not making a mess. Let's see. I know there was an update recently with this software. Technology is clearly not my first love or skill. Oh, let's see here. It might be my headphones because I don't hear her ringing, but I see it ringing. This is very strange. Let me take these out. Let's see if we can hear it. Hello. I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Okay.
Okay,
Perfect.
awesome.
Sorry about that. Let me see. I hope it's not my headphones, but now I can hear you. You sound
Okay,
amazing.
great.
Let's see. Let's see. Technology. It's constantly changing.
Yes, it's not
Okay.
never
I
our best
think
friend.
it might be my headphones, so I'm just going to leave those out.
Okay,
But
I
you
can still
sound
hear you.
awesome. Okay, perfect,
Cool,
perfect. Okay,
nice,
well, I'm doing this hat and
cool.
let's see. Okay. This hat looks great.
Yeah.
So, my question before I lost the ability to hear you, I would
Yes.
love to hear a little bit about how your relationship with dance has changed as you've gotten older and how as you've branched out into this new professional field, which
Mhm.
is still a very creative field, which I'm
Yes.
excited to talk about later in a different way. But yeah, how has that changed and how has it come with you?
Yeah. So I was fortunate to attend a college where dance was a
Oh
huge part of
no,
the social
I
life.
can't hear you
No,
again.
not again.
And I don't have
No.
my headphones in.
Oh, maybe it's what I'm saying. Computer doesn't like it.
Let me see. This is so strange. I'm so
Yeah.
sorry. This
No,
never
it's okay.
happens like this. Let's see here.
I can try
I
without the
see your
headphones
audio
too.
going. Let's see. I've got someone on the phone checking it out. I see we have some live viewers.
Mhm.
This is very strange.
I can go without the headphones too if we need.
Maybe my sound. All right, try one more time to say something.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Oh my
Cool.
goodness. Amazing. Okay.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Cool.
Okay.
Cool. So my answer, very prepared now.
Amazing.
So I was
had 45 minutes to prepare your answer.
Right. Yeah. No, I was very fortunate to attend a college where dance was a huge part of the social life there and like the extracurricular activities. So I was actually involved in like 3 different dance troupes. I took a dance class for my PE credit and I ended up teaching that class for like 7 semesters after that. And so I always was really involved with it in college. And then after graduating, I moved to New York City. And it was very easy to find dance opportunities. I had grown up dancing at Broadway Dance Center when I could and steps, so I pretty much fell right into that. And once my younger sister moved to the city, she wants to be on Broadway, so she's very involved in musical theater, and she would take a ton of classes. So she pretty much introduced me to all the teachers and different groups she was taking dance classes from, and I followed her into that. So I have not kept up with it so well since moving back to the city after moving home during the pandemic, just because I've been pretty busy. And yeah, it's a challenge too to just feel so comfortable in that environment, even though it is getting to be safer. So I'm hoping to get back soon, but
I'm right
not
there
yet.
with you. Who are some of your favorite teachers that you have taken in the city? Like, if you could jump into a class right now and like feel the happiest and the most excited to dance, who would you choose to take?
So there's a few teachers. 2 of them I actually grew up with in New Jersey. They taught at my studio, so it's very nice to go back with them. I love taking from Kat Wildish and Jamie Salmon. They're 2 of my favorites, and obviously with the ballet background, I love that. And then I really enjoy Ricky Hines' musical theater classes. That's something that's been super exciting for me. And then I also am part of this group. It's called Pop Tap, run by Beth Nicely. And she has been doing pretty much for many years now. She's had on Wednesday nights, we used to go and learn a routine and then hang out afterwards. We haven't had so many since we've been back, but I also enjoy having that outlet for tap.
Yeah, that is awesome. I know it's been so difficult, especially scheduling is so different now.
Yeah.
The studios are having a lot less classes, a lot less opportunities to dance, especially if you're someone who's working during the day or it's different strange hours. It's definitely really hard and I'm right there with you with like feeling I'm starting to feel comfortable to go back and safer. But there was definitely like a long time where I didn't feel kind of like comfy going back. But I think, yeah, that is really awesome. And those are amazing teachers. What? Okay, so this kind of leads into my future questions.
Okay.
I wanted to know a little bit about your relationship with the Nutcracker. If you ever got to do the Nutcracker at your studio, I know that's always been such a magical part of my youth and growing up, and just like it really just signifies like the winter, the holidays.
Totally.
It's just such a good feeling. So I'd love to know a little bit about your relationship with the Nutcracker.
Yeah. So my studio did put on the Nutcracker every single winter. So ever since I had the opportunity to be a part of the studio, pretty much when my sister had started dancing 2 years before me, I had seen the show, fell in love with it right away. And of course, it's also like a stepping stone part of like your dance career as a young person trying to learn and grow in the industry. So I always wanted to move up and get all the great parts. So every year I was super dedicated to just being as connected to the Nutcracker as possible. And I started out as a gnome in the party scene, kissing doll, Polish Chanel, angel, snowflake, Waltz of the Flowers, Chinese Mirliton, like the whole spectrum of all the parts. And it ended up being, it was always performed at this school, which turned out to be my high school later on. So I had the opportunity to go to school, then go dance, and then be back at school. So it's been really a huge part of my life since I was a child because of the schooling and all that as well. So yeah, very, very connected.
It's such a magical thing. I don't think like if you've never been in, I mean, I think it's magical for people who watch it every year too, who aren't, but being in the Nutcracker, it's just something so special.
Yeah, the music comes on and it gets you in the spirit, and part of it is like the excitement of getting to perform with your friends, but also just getting to feel connected to the holidays, then a little bit of the stress
Exactly.
because you're concerned about the parts. And so it's
Yes.
all these emotions, but it's so much that comes through it that there's always a little bit of happiness no matter what, that you
Yeah.
kind of forget about those crazy times and just remember the joy.
Exactly. Yeah. If there was one variation or like one role in the Nutcracker that you could just pick to play, what would be your favorite? Or even if it's something that you did get to participate in, what's like your favorite variation from the Nutcracker?
So my favorite one is definitely the Merloton dance or marzipan. I know it goes by different names. I really liked the choreography that my studio had just because it was very rhythmical and very syncopated with all the music. So it was very technical and very quick, but also very elegant. But I did also love the Russian dance because I love to jump. And so
Mm.
whenever we got to like play around in the studio, and when our one of our dance teachers used to perform the Russian solo, so whenever he wasn't there and one of us got to like jump in, it was always like gung ho and ready to do it and try to show off a little bit.
Yeah, that's so fun. I always wanted to do the Arabian dance, but it always went to like a super tall girl, super leggy girl.
Mm-hmm.
And I always
Yes.
got I'm like barely 5'3", so I always got the
Mm.
like fast jumping little spurty ones and like,
Yeah.
and I always wanted to do that one. So that would be my pick.
Mm-hmm.
I'm
Nice.
having a lot of trouble with the paint as expected. The
Yeah.
red paint is completely dried out and won't come out.
Oh
So
no.
my Nutcracker is going to be wearing a blue jacket. So it's a little like
Nice.
contemporary twist
I like
on the
it.
Nutcracker. But how is your Nutcracker
It's coming
going?
along. I went from the hat to the jacket, so I have not done the face yet. I kind of skipped
Yeah,
over that. We'll
I
come
kind
back
of
to
just
that
went
later.
with white and then now I'm doing like a little bit in between. It's
Yes.
looking a little crazy, also just not at all like a Nutcracker, but I think I can pull it together and make
Right.
it something. Um,
Nice.
okay, let me put this down, and I think it's time for our first game,
Okay.
which
I'm
is
ready.
really fun. Let me get this together. Let me get my life together. Paint is definitely a tricky thing to do.
Yeah,
Well,
I'm very impressed though.
thank you, thank you. I'm a professional. Okay, so it is
Okay.
time for our first game.
Yeah.
Would you rather?
Cool.
So, like I say every time, it's not too scandalous. It is a pre-made game, so we don't have to be too scared.
Okay.
But I'm going to pick randomly some of these, and I'd love to know what you would rather. And if you're watching, definitely comment and let us know because that's always really fun. All right.
Okay.
Would you
I'm ready.
rather only be able to get clean by showering in ball bearings or have tennis balls for fingers?
That's a very interesting question.
Very odd pairing.
Yeah. I think I would choose the tennis ball one just because a shower is really nice and it's going to come into play in an answer to one of your questions coming up later. So
Ooh,
I would have to choose the
okay.
tennis balls for fingers. Though I don't
Interesting.
know how that would work at all.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work with you with cooking, but I'm sure you would make it
Yeah.
work. Maybe it would be like our nut crushing situation. Like you could
Right.
really like
Yeah.
get in there with the doughs and yeah,
Totally. That would be a very useful skill for that actually.
yeah, beat the meats and stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I clearly don't know how to cook.
No, it was some very poignant aspects of cooking that you got.
Oh, good. Okay, awesome. Next question. Would you rather have an eternal mystery curse placed on you by a wizard
Okay.
or bump your head every morning as you wake up?
Bump your head every morning because not that I do that all the time, but in a kitchen, I often bump into things unexpectedly. So I'm very used to that.
Yeah.
And I've also had some moments where I've walked into glass doors and have bumped my head. I actually have a scar, not from a glass door, but from when I was 5. I On July 4th, I walked into a corner in my house and had to get that stitched up.
No.
So that's very natural for me to just bump my head.
So you're used to it. You're used to it. An
Yeah.
eternal mystery curse. Like
Yeah, you don't
that's
know
a
what's
like you
coming
don't know
ever.
how to prepare. Like at least like if you're gonna bump your head, you could like always go to bed with a helmet on or like
Yes. Yeah.
there's workarounds. Okay,
Hmm.
last one of these.
Okay.
Would you rather have everything smell bad forever or bark like a dog every time you see a bus?
I think the bark like a dog because you could avoid buses a lot if you really wanted to.
Yeah.
And the smell is a really hard thing to deal with.
Yeah. Especially if you're in the business of food because
Hmm.
your smell and your taste are so connected. So
Yeah, it would be very challenging
that would
to
be
to
rough.
know if what you were cooking was good.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. And that is a perfect transition to passions outside of dance. How did you get into cooking? How did this come about in your life?
Yeah. So it actually stemmed from my mom as well. She, besides growing up dancing, she has always loved food and has worked in hospitality and sales and tourism and marketing and all of that. So when we were very young, she instilled that love in us as well. I had an easy bake oven for a present many years, and
Amazing.
I kind of just fell in love with that right away. Started playing restaurant at home, and eventually, I knew I always wanted to do something with food. I didn't know if it was going to be dance or food for a while, but on the side, whenever I had some free time, I would always be cooking at home or kind of taking up internships whenever I could. My mom was working at a French restaurant in middle school, and we had frequented it many times. So it was like a family friend, and I felt very comfortable. And I started working there a little bit. And then I had the opportunity to attend a vocational high school in New Jersey that had 7 different academies, and I chose the Culinary Academy. So I was able
That
to
is so
study
cool.
academics, like traditional academics, but also focus on culinary and hotel administration on the side.
Wow, that is
Yeah.
so cool. So, wow. Okay. So, I know that you have a lot of experience with cooking and
Mhm.
you went to is it the American Institute for Culinary Arts? Is that the correct way to say it?
Culinary Institute of America.
Culinary Institute
Almost.
of America. Oh my
CIA
gosh.
for abbreviation.
Yes.
So it's
I
like
was
the
trying to
fancy
think of
CIA.
the letters and like match the words to the letters.
You did just
So
wrong order, but almost there.
so cool. So, what has been your favorite opportunity or experience like in a kitchen or and has has that how do I guess what my real question is how does like your experience as a dancer come into play with your experience cooking and or does it? I'm assuming it
Mhm.
does, but I
Yeah.
don't want to I have
Mm,
ideas of how it might, but I'd love to
mhm.
hear your take on that.
Yeah, there's definitely a few different ways. The first I would say is the agility that being a dancer has really helps in a kitchen, especially in New York City kitchens when they're very tiny and you have to be able to maneuver around people. Also, you don't want to hurt yourself, and so it's very good to be able to have that flexibility. And it doesn't have to be a lot, but just knowing how to use your body and when things hurt and to be mindful of that. So definitely being in dancer shape is very helpful, and you're standing also for many hours a day, so just having strength in your legs, I mean, they kind of go hand in hand because now that I stand on my feet all the time, I've gotten stronger in my dance
Yeah.
abilities as well, so they really complement each other in that sense. But the mental game is also something that dance teaches you that applies very well in working in a restaurant. You need a lot of grit in order to withstand kind of the heat and also the tough environment. Every kitchen is different, but there's a lot of pressure and you're on a time crunch as well, so knowing how to build yourself up and also how to maneuver and what works, and like practice makes perfect in dance. And you kind of learn that in a kitchen too in order to have the best technique and the best knife skills or be able to work a station really well. You have to just be prepared to put in the hours to get there. So knowing
Yeah.
that from dance has helped me to just know that it's something I've done in the past and I can definitely do it in a kitchen environment too.
Yeah, that's one of the things that I was thinking about because I mean, of course, I've never worked in a kitchen. I am hardly able to cook my own food here. But I all the stuff I always see is like how high pressure it is, how stressful, and I must New York City must be like the most stress of all possible kitchens and restaurants and
Yeah.
dealing with that. It feels it from what I see and what I imagine, it feels very like backstage esque, and that's
Yes.
really cool,
Hmm.
especially because cooking is such an art. It's
Hmm.
so, I mean, it's so creative. There's so many things you can do. Is there like a favorite dish that you love to make? Like, what is your absolute favorite thing to cook?
I feel like my favorite thing to cook is something that I don't cook a lot because I kind of brand it as my signature dish these days, but it ties
Yeah.
in really well to my company brand and all like my passions and everything. But there's this dish that I came up with a few years ago, and it's called the rainbow beet, and it pulls from my love for the Italian rainbow cookie, which I used to have growing up after Shabbat all the time and at temple. So it's very much related to my childhood, but I also love sweets and I love almond and raspberry, and those flavors are very prominent in a lot of things that I make. But because I have been focusing a lot more on vegetable forward cooking, I translated this dessert into a savory dish by using beets in as many applications as I could. And so it's not something that I can make very often because it takes a lot of time. But whenever I have the chance to do it, it's something that's really exciting because it taps into so many personal memories, and I know that it's going to taste really great as well. So I really like making that dish, and I also sometimes add in this another savory Jewish treat component, which is a beet rugula. So I
Ooh.
did some caramelized cream cheese and raspberry almond jam and combined that as the filling. So it's a very different take on a classic rugula, but it's got that same spiral, and
Wow.
it's really cool. So I really like those two components of
That
the
is
dish.
so cool. And that also leads me perfectly into syncopated. And I love that your tagline, like encouraging people to cook to the beat of their own culinary rhythm. Tell me a little bit
Yeah.
about syncopated.
Yeah. So a few years ago, I wanted to start doing my own pop ups. We were closed for the summer at one of the restaurants I was working because they were renovating. And so I thought it'd be a great opportunity to really challenge myself and put myself out there as well. And I wanted to have a brand behind it, not just be doing dinners, but really have a vision to keep me guided and just to really help me connect to myself. And so I chose the name Syncopated because it combines my passions for dance. I also grew up playing the drums, so there's that rhythmical feel in there
Ooh,
too. And then cooking, like we said, it's very much an art form, so it ties all three together.
I
And
love that.
so, yeah, Syncopated is in itself, it's my brand where I do pop up dinners whenever I can. But I also have used it kind of during the pandemic to streamline my platform as well. So I was doing, I created this Israeli dance series that I used these dances that I loved learning and use that to inspire dishes. And so I was still connecting to the kitchen and dancing and all that. And obviously, with the cookbook that I created, this cookbook is for
Yeah.
dancing and this kitchen is for dancing was the Instagram series with the Israeli dancing, and then this cookbook is for dancing, so they're all a little part of this bigger picture essentially.
I love that. Okay, so we've hinted at it. Let's talk about, so the full title, this cookbook is for dancing, a taste of the Nutcracker, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
How did you get this idea?
So this is where the shower comes in. So I have often done my best brainstorming in the shower. I think there's something about just kind of taking your mind off of everything else and just having the water like refresh your thoughts and everything that has always allowed me to come up with great ideas. And it was at a time last year during the pandemic where it was October, and I was doing this Instagram series and I was also doing some blogging, but I was feeling like I needed something where I could connect to people more and also just feel a little bit more connected to the holiday season too, because I knew I wasn't going to be going anywhere. So I wanted to
Right.
have something to keep me going. And I thought about just creating an e-cookbook initially, and I didn't have a theme. And I was like, this will be a great project for the next 5 months or whatever. The next night, I was like, I should do it for the Nutcracker. Like, this would be perfect. And so, like, I get out of the shower, tell my mom, I'm like, this is my new project. And she's like, makes no sense. I don't know how you're going to do it. And I was like, don't worry, I will figure it out. Came up with all like I like sat down, thought through the idea, and was like, it'll work. Like I can do this on my own. It'll be fine. And then just went for it. And then fortunately, I was able to get it all done because it was October and December
Yeah,
is
that's
the holiday
really a
season.
fast
So
turnaround.
yeah, I self-published, which is
That's
really how I was able to do
awesome.
it because I did everything on my own for the most part. My family was super supportive in editing and just helping to read through and have me bounce off ideas. And I had a friend help me with illustrations. So I was very much a part of all aspects of it, which was great. And yeah, I
That's
made it
so
happen.
cool. That is so cool. And of all the ballets to pick, I mean, the Nutcracker is the perfect
Hmm.
it has already those food elements in there, and then
Yes.
it's genius to create a cookbook inspired by that. I'm so excited. I need to like look through all the recipes and
Yeah.
try them. It's maybe with the help of my mom when I go home for the holidays.
Yeah.
Maybe I can get some help in the kitchen, but I love this idea and it is so cool. What are some of your favorite recipes in the book that you created?
Yeah. So one of my favorites is the caramel apples for dinner, and it's a caramelized apple soup. So it's a take on a caramel apple, but it's also savory. I tend to like to take sweet treats and turn them into savory
Oh, I'm
dishes when I
so into
can.
that. I'm so into that.
Yeah,
I
and
love
so
that.
that one is super simple, but it's really like super delicious, super comforting, and it comes with toasted hazelnuts and a gratinade cheese on top. So it's like a warm blanket wrapped around you, and it's super tasty.
Wow. Oh,
And
I love
yeah,
that.
and then
And
my
what
other
part?
favorite. Oh,
Oh, I
sorry,
was just gonna
I was
say
gonna give.
what part like what does that connect to for you in the Nutcracker story?
So there's one section of the book that's the party scene, and so
Okay.
this dish comes from the party scene where I envisioned it as like the appetizers and entrees and hors d'oeuvres to get everyone going. So
Love that.
that's part of that scene. So not connected to any specific element, but just being part of the party. But then my other favorite dish that I wanted to point out is Mother Ginger's surprise, and so that is clearly connected to Mother Ginger and the
Oh,
Polichinelles.
amazing.
And so it's a pretty much a delicata squash macadamia nut crumble bar with candied ginger mixed into that. So the candied ginger is obviously the surprise aspect, but also very expected because that's in the title. But
Yeah.
it's this time taking a vegetable and putting it in more of that sweet application. So always trying to play around with that. And
Wow.
it's super easy to make and super scrumptious. And it's very reminiscent of like a typical crumble bar, but with a lot of unusual flavors in there.
Wow. I love that and I love the creativity of, the sweet and the savory and playing with that. I love how it's not just like here's a ginger cake for Mother Ginger. Like, so creative.
Yeah.
So, everyone needs to get this cookbook and try it
And
for
I
dinner.
have it. I can
Oh
show the
my gosh,
cover.
let me see.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah, we got
yes.
this
Oh my gosh,
cover.
I love it.
Yeah. And then I
Um,
can show. Yeah, I'll show the ginger Mother Ginger
yes,
surprise.
show me, show me. I'm like,
Or,
I have it.
yeah. So
Oh,
yeah.
amazing.
So
Oh my gosh,
it
the
also it's
illustrations.
color coordinated. So each chapter is a different color, and then there's highlighted kid friendly recipe steps too. So if you're cooking with kids, you
Oh
can
my
easily incorporate
gosh.
them into the
This is the
activity.
perfect thing. I would say get it for the holidays, but like get it before because you
Yeah,
want to use it for the holidays. Luckily,
totally.
Hanukkah is early this year, so
Yes.
you
Yeah,
can
it
get
works for
it.
sure. And the recipes are fall oriented as well. So fall and
Yeah.
winter, perfect seasons for it.
Oh my gosh. Amazing. Okay. Let me move this
Yes.
little kid. She gets a little jealous when I talk to other people, but
Oh,
I would love to play our next game. It
cool.
is a bit of a mystery game. It is
Okay.
called. Oh wait, no, I'm lying to you. I want to talk about drums
Okay.
because you
Yes.
mentioned drums as another passion of yours, which is
Mhm.
so cool that not only have you combined food and dance and drums with syncopated. So, how did you get into the drums?
So I pretty much needed to take up a musical instrument. That was just something that I wanted to do. And my family, we all were involved in musical elements as well. My older sister picked up the flute. My younger sister plays violin and sax. I personally did not want an instrument where I had to read that kind of music. I actually am not comfortable reading typical music because I only had to play drum music. But I kind of just fell in love with it. I always I don't remember when I realized that I wanted to do it, but I think it was just like I'm gonna play the drums and that was it. And
Yeah.
I started out like I was taking lessons growing up, and then I was in jazz band in middle school and high school. I was in a band as well with my friends in high school. We had a little run at the
So cool.
assemblies and we did all that when we could. And then I haven't been able to play as much these days, but whenever I go home, I have a drum set back at my parents' house. I'll always go and play
Nice.
my typical rhythms and things like that. I'd love to get back into it again in the city. It's a little hard in an apartment where you can't have a set, but there's those electronic ones now that I've always been looking into. They're very expensive, but
Yeah.
definitely still an option. So
Oh,
hopefully I'll be able
totally.
to keep that up again too.
Yeah, and drums and tap. I mean, it's like so, and just rhythm in general with dancers. And then I feel like cooking also has such a rhythm. There's so many like repetitive movements that you do that
Hmm.
must, I'm imagining, fall into a rhythm while you're in
Yes.
the cooking
No, it's so
process.
much about that too. Whenever I get to work a station again, since I'm a sous chef now, I'm not always working the line. But whenever I do and I'm not in my groove, I can feel it. And it's just like I need to get right in there. And then after a few
Yeah.
hours, you kind of feel you're back there again. And it's so much related to that whole rhythmic element.
Yeah, I love that. Do you have any, I mean, when would you even have the time, but what are some of your other passions besides cooking and dance and drums and writing a whole cookbook?
Yeah, I would say the dance is obviously a huge passion of mine, and I try to do it whenever I can. But something else that I do on the side is actually I do more writing. I've been a resume consultant for since graduating from
Ooh.
school. Some of my fellow peers from Cornell, they started a resume company, and I was looking for extra money when I first moved to the city, and I really like business writing, and I was like, you know what, this sounds like a good opportunity. And it's also very much service oriented as well, and I come from a hospitality background, so it was a perfect match. And I've been keeping up with that, not so much lately. I hope to be able to continue to help clients, but it's been a side hustle whenever I can, and the company is really great, and just the environment, and getting to tap back into kind of the academic side as well, because culinary arts is so much more creative that there is a ton of science and obviously education behind it, but it's a different than what I learned in school. And I always want to be able to use my education in numerous ways. So being able to use my proper grammar and my writing skills and my computer skills and be word savvy and on Microsoft Word and Excel and all that fun stuff.
Yeah.
I like doing that too.
And it's such an important thing to have a good resume, and it's like you're
Yeah.
helping people achieve their dreams and get hired to work these jobs that they're dreaming about. So that's so awesome. Everyone, if you need a resume, you know who to
Yes.
contact.
Totally.
Amazing. Okay, well, let's get into our final game. Now I can
Okay.
finally do my little special yay
Nice.
questions.
Cool.
So I'm going to pick. They're loosely color coordinated. Some are deep. Some of them are funny. You
Okay.
can always veto if something is too deep. But
Cool.
most of the questions are from a website, Questions to Ask Your Dad. So they're pretty silly. I always hype up that website. I found it
Nice.
randomly, and they have great questions. So let's see what we've got.
Okay.
Okay.
I'm working on my nutcracker
Oh yeah,
while
I
you
was gonna
ask
say,
me.
let's do a check-in. How's your nutcracker looking?
I
Mine,
started the face and it's interesting. So we'll
mine
see.
looks just like a tube, but I think when I get the eyes, it'll look more like a nutcracker. I wish I had like a feather to glue on the top or
Yeah,
something
that
to
would be
show
really
it.
helpful.
That
Mine,
would
the
be
eyes aren't
amazing.
helping so much on mine, but that's okay.
It'll be like it's still like fall, a little Halloween vibes, a little
Right?
like
A
a
little bit.
scary nutcracker. Okay, pick a color.
Okay. Let's do blue first.
Ooh. Oh, this one might be a little scandalous.
Okay.
Describe what your crush looks like. You don't have to describe maybe like a dream crush person if you don't want to out
Yeah, I
your
don't I
crush.
don't know if I have a solid I have a good description of what my crush could look like,
Okay, okay.
but I definitely want them to be a dancer, honestly, which is hard to describe as a look, but I want them to be able to dance so that we can share that together, and to be a little taller than me, I'd say. And
Okay.
I really also like a baby face. So someone, because I
Mm,
also look very young,
yeah,
so I think someone that matches me in that sense. And
yeah,
maybe brown hair too, pretty much like the guy version of me, I think, but not
yes,
identical.
yeah. I think those are some good qualities to look for.
Right.
Next one.
Orange.
Ooh, okay, interesting. 100 kittens or three baby sloths? That's the whole
I guess I
question.
would have to choose the kittens. Not, I personally am not a huge animal person, but both my
Hmm.
sisters have cats now, and so I feel like it's good to choose that answer because they love their
Yeah.
kittens.
And it doesn't say like how long. It's like, I feel like being in a room with 100 kittens would be like wild.
Yeah.
Being in a room with three sloths would also probably be very wild. But the kittens would probably be more like interactive.
Yeah, more cuddly.
Yeah.
Could be more enjoyable.
All right.
Okay, we'll do purple next.
Ooh, are you close with your family?
Yes. Yeah, my younger sister lives in Brooklyn, so I see her very often. My older sister lives in Denver, but we're still just as close, I would say. And my parents are in New Jersey, and I see them all the time. I lived with them again for 14 months,
Right.
so I've definitely gotten closer with them physically, and also just as an adult, it's been nice to have different experiences, especially in times like this.
Yeah, definitely. All right, last one of
Cool.
these.
Okay.
What motivates you to get up every morning?
I would say the fact that I like to keep myself very busy, and so I always have a to-do list to accomplish, but I try to keep it things that I really enjoy doing besides the typical chores. And I like my job, so that really helps me because I enjoy that I get to cook and fulfill my passion every day. And then knowing that I have other things, like I'm trying to build my own business as well, so I'm challenging myself in different ways. So I think the to-do list for sure, of having a million things to get done, so there's that need to accomplish something, but also that I have things that are not just the expected things to get done, but something that's pushing me and helping me to grow every day as well.
I love that. All right, my last question that I ask every guest is what brings out your most creative self?
So I feel like I should have saved my answer for now, but I really would say the shower, which is such a weird answer, but it's where I came up with the idea for the cookbook. In high school, it's where I came up with this idea for a cake competition, and it was the best in taste cake. So it was very successful, but I also really just loved that combination. And someone like I live alone most of the time these days, so the shower is the one place where I usually don't have it. Like I'm not watching TV necessarily. Sometimes I'm listening to a podcast or something like that, but I'm really alone with my thoughts. And so it helps me to just really think about things. And sometimes it catches me off guard too, because I'll be thinking about one thing and then something else comes into mind. So clearing my mind, I think, is really what brings out my most creative self. Because if I'm in the kitchen, obviously food is very inspirational and I can figure things out, but you need a second to reflect, and eliminating all the other surroundings really helps me to do that.
Yeah, I love that. I'm totally right there with you. I think, especially in New York, you're surrounded by so many people all the time and consuming. We're constantly like screens in our face, and like you can listen to stuff with a podcast or music in the shower, but if you bring your phone in, you're gonna break it. So it's definitely like a special place. Yeah, I love that. Amazing. Well, where can people find you? How can people get your book? How can people contact you, come to your pop ups, get you to write their resumes? There's so much that they need to know. So plug everything you got.
Yeah. So I'm on Instagram. That's the first one, at Chef Lecky, ChefLeci, and also at Syncopated NYC. Chef Lecky is more my personal one, but I post mostly the same thing on both of them. So you can find me on either channel. I do have a website also, www.syncopatednyc.com. If you go there, you can find links to information about my pop-ups as well as how to purchase the cookbook. It is on Amazon too, so you can just type in the title directly on Amazon if you want a more direct route to get there. And if you're interested in resume help, you can also reach me there. I'm the one behind the website and everything. My email is info@syncopatednyc.com, so you can catch me there as well. And I will be hosting a pop-up related to the cookbook in December, to be announced very soon. So stay tuned for information about that. But if you want to experience the food in person and then also just have a great time and celebrate the holidays, it'd be a great event for you. But you can also purchase the cookbook and enjoy all the food at home too.
Amazing. Oh my gosh. I'll put all of that in the show notes and in the description of this video later. Definitely check it out. I'm getting the cookbook for everyone I know. I think it's so brilliant. And if you would
I
like
should
to...
also point out, I forgot, sorry, it's vegetarian and gluten-free, the cookbook. Unintentionally, but that's how it turned out, and inspired by a lot of nut flours based on the Nutcracker, so it very much ties together with all of that. So if you have any of those allergies or things, it's very related to that.
Wow! Oh my gosh! Even better! Oh my gosh, amazing.
Yes.
Definitely everyone get it right now. Go order it. And then if you'd like to connect with me, you can always follow my personal Instagram, Haley Grove. And definitely check out the Instagram for the podcast, Dear Dance Pod. It's finally the correct name on Instagram. So it took a little while to get that name switcheroo because I don't know how to use technology apparently. But it's there. And then also definitely subscribe to the YouTube channel, Essentially Haley. And if you are loving the show and you want to support it even more, check out the Patreon. I'm really excited to hopefully get the Patreon to at least 100 patrons. And when we achieve that goal, I will be donating $1 per patron every month to a dancer who has a creative project that needs help getting funded. So that might be hiring a videographer for a concept video, or paying your dancers, or funding a dance related cookbook that you want to write. There's so many ways that we can help uplift the dance community, as every little bit helps, especially in these weird times. So, definitely check out all of those things. And with that, have a great night. Thank you so much for being here. This was so fun. Hopefully, I'll get to meet you in person one day
Yeah,
and
I would love that.
eat your food, because I'm sure it'll taste much better when you cook it versus me.
Aw, I'm sure you would do a great job. And maybe I'll see you in a class one day too.
Yes, we'll get into ballet again now that we're feeling
Yes.
good. That's one of my goals. I'm not going to feel good once I'm in there because I'll have atrophied. All my muscles are atrophied, but we're going to get there and it's going to be
Yes,
great.
for sure. Sounds
Awesome.
awesome.
Thank you so much for being here.
Yes,
Have a
thank
great
you.
night,
You
everyone.
too. It was lovely chatting with you.